Hello, my name is David Danzig. I'm a PhD candidate at New York University's Institute for the Study of the Ancient World, studying ancient Near Eastern history. This presentation is about the Shanati Project, which aims to reconstruct the ancient Babylonian chronology of the first millennium BCE to the day and synchronize it with other calendars, primarily with the proleptic Julian calendar. The Shanati Project has been generously funded by the National Endowment for the Humanities through a Digital Humanities Advancement Grant. The project is run by Professor Alexander Jones, also of ISAW, who is the project's director, and by myself. Other employees of the project include Professor John Steele of Brown University and Dr. Joshua Jeffers, associated with the University of Pennsylvania. Shanati began as an outgrowth of my dissertation project, which analyzes the identity trajectories of immigrants in central Babylonia in the 6th and 5th centuries BCE. In attempting to analyze immigrants' participation in time-based religious activities, I realized the inadequate accuracy of the current chronological reconstruction for working on research that requires daily granularity. After a period of frustration, I began to analyze the problems and to find solutions, which came together in our successful grant proposal. In this presentation, I will first explain the concepts and incongruities of a lunisolar calendar and how the Babylonians resolved those inherent issues. Then I will discuss how the Babylonian solutions lead to difficulties in reconstructing the ancient Babylonian chronology. At that point, I will outline the current standard reconstruction of the ancient Babylonian chronology, highlight the problems with it, and describe Shanati's proposed solutions to these problems. Last, I will present the end product we are working to create and touch on how we envision the impact of Shanati's results. Unlike our calendar, the ancient Babylonian calendar was both complex and inherently variable. Rather than being a fixed sequence of days organized into fixed length months, the way our calendar is, the ancient Babylonian calendar, meaning the way the Babylonians structured their year, was loose. Three elements were mandated: the solar year, the lunar month, and keeping of the numerous annual festivals in their proper seasons. This makes a lot of sense, since both periods of time derive directly from natural phenomena that are easily observed by all, that is, the annual solar cycle and the monthly lunar cycle. In the ancient religious context, the heavenly bodies were thought to control time itself and were therefore divine. The sun controlled the day and the year, while the moon controlled the month. The solar year, or the time it takes for the Earth to circle the sun once, is approximately 365 days, as we all know, while the lunar month, which is the time it takes the moon to circle the Earth once, is approximately 29 and a half days. So then, when adding up a sequence of lunar months, 12 lunar months gives only 354 days. The inherent difficulty in maintaining such a calendrical system, meaning a lunisolar calendrical system, is that the number of days in the solar and lunar years do not coincide. With a difference between them of 11 days, the months would move away from their customary seasonal positions after only a few years. The Babylonians employed a method to keep the solar year and the sequence of lunar months approximately in line with one another, which we call intercalation. That is, the addition of an extra lunar month every second or third year. Although a set sequence of intercalations was developed at some point during the first millennium BCE, probably during Xerxes' reign, intercalation was officially an ad hoc royal prerogative. Adding to the flexibility was the fact that an intercalary month could be added either at the midpoint or at the end of each year. A further complication in organizing a lunisolar calendar is that since the new moon occurs after approximately 29 and a half days, the reckoned month must be either 29 or 30 days long. Furthermore, although the time of new moon is a fixed astronomical period, the time of first lunar visibility, or when the young crescent can be first seen on Earth, is still problematic. Schaefer 1996 states, "It turns out that crescent visibility is a tough problem involving orbital calculations, lunar scattering, atmospheric scattering, and visual physiology," meaning eyesight. In fact, this remains an unsolved problem today, with several competing astrophysical models. All this is before the practical issues of observational variance, with latitude and with, of course, the interference of weather. For ancient Babylonia, we know that the decision of which day the new month began was arrived at through a combination of astronomical prediction of the new moon and of observation of the young crescent. Even so, we do not know how this decision-making process worked, nor how it varied between the main astronomical centers in Babylon and in Uruk, nor how the process changed over time. The monthly decisions about month length make for another layer of persistent variability in the Babylonian calendar on top of periodic annual intercalations. Due to all of these factors, there are four main issues involved in working to reconstruct the Babylonian chronology, meaning the sequence of days of the Babylonian calendar as it was actually reckoned in ancient times year after year. These problems include the annual and monthly variability built into the calendar, the large number of individual decisions that were made in the reckoning of annual and monthly time in Babylonia, our lack of direct knowledge of those decisions, and our uncertainty regarding the expected astronomical visibility of the young crescent. An additional fifth issue is reconstructing the sequence of reigns. Since the Babylonians counted years as belonging to each king's reign, when a new monarch arose, the count of years started anew. Therefore, when such regnal transitions were contested, the yearly count may have been contested as well, and also often information about such transitions is scanty and contradictory. The standard work that is relied upon for the daily chronology of the ancient Babylonian calendar in correlation with proleptic Julian dates was published by Parker and Duberstein in 1942, with minor updates through 1971. The basis of their approach was the collection of the documentary evidence for regnal transitions and intercalations that was available then, back in 1942, supplemented by an astronomical model of first lunar visibility to supplement the data for month lengths. There are several problems with their work. The most basic of these is that their reconstructed chronology is fundamentally theoretical on the daily level. Since, as I've explained, the Babylonian calendar was inherently loose and relied on repeating individual decisions, Parker and Duberstein's work gives merely a modern expectation representation for what the daily calendar would have been if the astronomical model they use is an accurate solution to the first lunar visibility problem, and if it was followed perfectly by the ancient Babylonians. The former is unproven, and the latter is humanly impossible. So, although Parker and Duberstein claimed a high degree of accuracy for their reconstruction, the evidentiary basis of their work, which has been the standard first millennium BCE Old World daily chronology since 1942, is in fact critically lacking. Simply put, we require as much ancient evidence as possible attesting to the calendrical decisions that were made in ancient times in order to reconstruct the daily chronology. In addition, their work is now 80 years out of date regarding scholarship produced since about the regnal transitions, about Babylonian astronomy, and about astronomical first lunar visibility. Our solution to reach daily granularity in reconstructing the ancient Babylonian chronology is to set it on a broad textual foundation. Some 85,000 cuneiform texts have been recovered from this time period, the first millennium BCE, many of which contain dates in them. While this may seem like a gargantuan task, putting together some tens of thousands of dates, contemporary digitality and the previous work of many others make this goal well within reach. The Shanati Project is in the process of gathering and integrating 4 types of evidence to create a reconstructed chronology that is the best it can be with the currently extant scholarly resources. These are, number 1, cuneiform economic texts that are dated to the 30th day of a month, meaning which will enlighten us about the length of a month having been recorded as 30 days rather than 29, or those texts that are dated to an intercalary month, meaning that there was an extra month that year. 2, cuneiform scholarly texts that record or predict month lengths and intercalary months. 3, other ancient texts written in Elamite cuneiform, Aramaic, or Greek that are also dated to either the 30th day of a month or to an intercalary month. And 4, a newly calibrated astronomical simulation of first lunar visibility in ancient Babylon. By employing a methodology specially designed to properly evaluate the relative reliability of these data in order to reconcile them with one another when they might vary, we will reconstruct a series of calendrical decisions that together determine the Babylonian chronology, allowing us to accurately correlate any specific Babylonian date to its proleptic Julian equivalent. Shanati's results will be made available in a number of ways beyond presenting them in the customary book form. Our website, Shanati.org, will contain automation to make the chronology extensible in the future, with the creation of an automated mechanism for updating Shanati's database and calendrical input and calendrical output. The website will allow for future input of data as more texts are discovered, read, and databased. Consequently, as more textual evidence becomes available in the future, the chronology will continue to improve in its accuracy. Furthermore, the website's advanced search capabilities that will give the complete trail of evidence for each date and its export functionality will maximize the usefulness of Shanati's chronology for scholars, all the while being freely publicly available. Shanati's website will also function as a service to other online chronology projects, to public cuneiform text databases, and to websites at large, via its API and its embeddable date conversion widget. Other digital features will include newly minted URIs or stable digital identifiers for ancient Babylonian dates, and will include maximal interoperability with other data types and other calendrical web platforms, as well as long-term stability in hosting and maintenance. We envision a wide applicability and usefulness for Shanati's results for scholarship in the fields of Babylonian social, economic, and political history, biblical studies, Greek and Hellenistic studies, Achaemenid Persian studies, the history of science, Babylonian mathematical astronomy, and even modern astronomy. But beyond that, the calendrical rapprochement Shanati will effectuate has much farther reaching consequences, we hope. Since the Babylonian calendrical and astronomical systems are to a large degree the precursor to our modern Western calendar and our modality of keeping time, this coupling of the ancient Babylonian calendar and our current Western calendar, based on the Julian calendar, will assist in bridging the wide gulf between lay perceptions of our modern world and of the ancient Old World. The website's embeddable date conversion widget will directly disseminate Shanati's results to wide audiences in educational and in other lay settings by publicly presenting a single connected timeline between ancient times and today. We aim to reconfigure the perceived large difference between the social and cultural realities of the past and the present into a more accurate, balanced perception of both similarity and difference. To intellectually support the Shanati Project, we created an advisory board of eminent scholars in the fields of Assyriology, Babylonian astronomy, and digital humanities, many of whom graciously agreed to donate data they hold to the project. We thank them for their data and for their ongoing support. We would also like to reiterate our thanks for the grant we received from the National Endowment for the Humanities. And last, thank you for watching this presentation. And please visit shanati.org to learn more about the project. Thank you very much.